It began like so many other discoveries in astronomy. Not with a flash of light or a booming announcement, but with a faint, silent blip. A motion across the blackness of space so subtle, so eerily calculated that even the most advanced automated tracking systems almost missed it. At first, it was thought to be a comet. Then, perhaps an asteroid. But the more we looked, the more 3I, ATLAS defied every label we tried to place on it. It was too symmetrical to be natural, too silent to be alive, and far too controlled to be adrift. Scientists remembered Oumuamua, that strange, tumbling shard of interstellar mystery that passed through our solar system years earlier, leaving behind more questions than answers. But 3I, Atlas. This was something else entirely. Bigger, slower, smarter. And now, thanks to the James Webb Space Telescope, our most powerful eye in the cosmos, we have confirmation of something deeply unsettling. 3I, Atlas is not just similar to Oumuamua. It is far more advanced, far more dangerous, and possibly, far more aware. A calculated path. When 3I, ATLAS was first catalogued, it was immediately obvious this was no ordinary visitor. Objects from outside our solar system don't usually pass so close to Earth. They blaze by at wild, unpredictable angles, briefly visible, and then disappear forever into the black. But 3I, ATLAS moved differently. It didn't barrel through space. It coasted. Its trajectory was eerily smooth, almost like it had been piloted. Its path, calculated by JPL's supercomputers, was a long, graceful arc that allowed it to drift past several of our planets in ways that maximized gravitational efficiency. It used the pull of Jupiter and Saturn not as obstacles, but as tools, subtly refining its course as though it had mapped our solar system long before arrival. That alone was troubling. But then, when astronomers backtracked its origin, they realized something far more disturbing. The path of 3I, ATLAS wasn't just unlikely. It was statistically impossible without intelligent intervention. A rogue body, drifting for millions of years, couldn't have avoided the galaxy's debris fields, solar radiation spikes, and planetary collision zones with such elegance. It was like watching a chess piece move through a board where every square was a threat. And yet, it danced through perfectly, as if it knew the game better than we did. The Oumuamua connection with James Webb fully online, scientists wasted no time pointing it toward 3I, Atlas. What it saw left even the most skeptical astronomers speechless. First, the thermal readings. Unlike comets, which typically emit heat in random, chaotic bursts as ice sublimates, 3I, ATLAS showed a consistent, rhythmic pattern of heat emission. It was like a signal. Not chaotic, not random, but pulsed, measured, and stable. Webb spectrography revealed materials never before seen in any known object. Hyper-reflective compounds, possibly artificial, and dense internal structuring suggesting hollow segments. But most haunting of all was a faint, recurring anomaly. A low-bandwidth electromagnetic frequency echoing from within the object, repeating every 147 seconds. It was identical to a known pulsar signature, yet the object had no internal energy source, no spinning core, no magnetic field. It was mimicking something, or it was communicating. When scientists cross-referenced that signal with the terabytes of archived data from Oumuamua, they discovered something terrifying. The exact same 147-second frequency was detected once, briefly, in Oumuamua's tail just before it left our system. It had been dismissed as instrument noise at the time. Only now, that signal was louder. Clearer. Stronger. Phase 2. When Oumuamua passed by in 2017, it did so quietly. It had no cometary tail, no clear source of propulsion, and its strange acceleration puzzled experts. It was cigar-shaped, tumbling end over end. Some argued it was alien technology. Others insisted it was a fluke of physics. But the debate never ended because the object disappeared before we could study it. But now, with 3I, Atlas in range, the mystery of Oumuamua came rushing back. Not because this new object resembled it, but because it surpassed it in every metric. It was larger, slower, more stable, and its movements were clearly deliberate. Some scientists, in hushed tones over encrypted video calls, began to suspect Oumuamua wasn't a scout. It was a probe, a passive reconnaissance device. A listener. But 3I, Atlas. This wasn't passive. This was interactive. This was observing us as we observed it. This was the second phase. It was the difference between a radar ping and an active, autonomous drone. And if that's true, we must ask the question no one dares say out loud. What is coming next? NASA has not confirmed any alien activity. Official statements remain guarded, neutral, and couched in scientific jargon. But independent researchers, those not shackled by government protocol, have gone public with their fears. In leaked internal chats, a team at the European Space Agency referred to 3I, ATLAS as a possible consciousness engine. What that means exactly is unclear, but when paired with Webb's latest images, the theory takes on a horrifying shape. The structural layout inside 3I, Atlas, mapped by its subtle gravitational lensing of starlight behind it, resembles recursive geometric fractals. These are patterns known to emerge in complex, adaptive systems, like brain tissue, neural networks, and quantum processors. It's as if the object was built not just to survive space, but to think through it, and more disturbingly, to evolve while moving through star systems. Imagine a spacecraft that becomes smarter the more it observes. One that adapts its own materials, shapes, and behaviors based on what it encounters. Not artificial intelligence as we understand it, which runs on code we write, but something organic, systemic, and potentially sentient. That is what we may be facing. Not just a visitor, but a learning entity. And if it's learning from us, what is it preparing for? Just when scientists believed they had mapped the future trajectory of 3I, Atlas, something happened that shattered the fragile consensus. On a clear night, telescopes in Chile and Hawaii, part of the IAWN network, recorded a minute but unmistakable course shift. It was unexplainable by gravity, solar wind, or any known natural force. The object veered slightly off its projected arc, aligning instead with a completely new vector, one that leads it closer to Earth's orbital plane. To some, it was a data glitch. But to mission analysts at the Deep Space Network, the conclusion was more alarming. 3I, ATLAS had responded. It had changed direction with the kind of timing and finesse that implied a decision. That word, decision, is what sparked late-night emergency meetings at NASA, ESA, and private think tanks around the world. This wasn't random. It was surgical. And it confirmed a possibility long feared. If Oumuamua was a passive observer, then 3I, Atlas is actively watching and, perhaps, maneuvering. And here is the most terrifying development. As of the latest readings, 3I, ATLAS has begun emitting a secondary signal. It's a lower frequency with longer, more complex pulses. And it's pointed toward deep space, not Earth. It's broadcasting outward, away from our sun, toward the same cold, dark region of space from which it came. Some say it's calling for reinforcements. Others believe it's simply uploading its findings. But either way, one thing is now undeniable. This was never just an interstellar rock. This was a node, a probe, a messenger. Maybe the real horror isn't that 3I, Atlas is artificial, or that it's alive, or even that it's watching us. Maybe the most terrifying truth is that it's not watching us for itself. Perhaps everything it's doing, every signal, every adjustment, every silent maneuver, is meant for something else. Something behind it. Something still on its way. In that case, we haven't just discovered an object from beyond the stars. We've triggered a beacon. We've confirmed we're here. And now, the universe is listening.